of the big questions I get asked all the time is when you're putting envelopes or cards together and you don't have a template, how do you make those corners so that you have the flaps on the side? Now here's an example of one here. There are 3 flaps on this side and 3 flaps over here, and those of course would be all overlapping. And if you were making this yourself right in Design Space, and this is a part of how you would design something, then there's a few little techniques that you can use. Unfortunately, you can't just take the corners and push them in. You have to have a workaround in order for that to happen. So what I want to do is show you a couple of little tricks here. All right, inside Design Space here, what we're going to do is just start a new project. Now I want to make something that was similar to what we saw on that diagram, and that's the important part about what we're going to do here. So first thing is we're going to grab a rectangle, well actually a square. I'm just going to bring it into the middle so it's big, and I am going to unlock it. I just want to do this quickly, and we'll have a pretty long one. That looks good. Let's just grab this. Let's just change the color so it's a little easier to see. I'm not going to worry about the score lines here. What we're going to worry about is how we're going to make those extra little flaps. So we're going to pretend that this is going to be the same size as the other one. So I'm just going to lock this together. I'm going to make a duplicate. I'm going to hold the Alt key down and just move it. And then I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. There we go. And this will come across as the edges. Now, the biggest problem here is I need a flap on 3 ends here and 3 ends over here. So let's just center this up a bit. So what I want to do, I've got all 3 of those. I'm going to align, and I want to center them horizontally. There we go. So we have edges around it. Let me just group this together for now while we're working with it. Now, the whole idea here is to get our flaps on each end. Now, with shapes, unfortunately on the free side, we don't see anything that we can particularly use. Even if I scroll down to the other ones, there is a shape that we can use, but a lot of you don't have access. But if you do, you could use these pieces, and I'll just bring one in. You could just grab these and put them into place. But what we need to do is make our own that looks exactly like this. So I'm just going to show you a quick trick on how to do that. I'm going to grab a triangle. I'm actually going to try and match it up this, and I'm just going to drag it. You only have to actually do this once so that we actually fit with that. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to change the color of the one behind here just so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to make this blue, and I'll make this one a little easier to see. I'll make it yellow. And what I want to do is bring, I'm going to bring this blue one on top. So let's go to Arrange, bring to Front. I'm going to bring this on top. Going to adjust our triangle here just so it fits a little better. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to make some other adjustments. So what you're doing basically is you're going to take this together and you're going to slice them. Now I'm going to have to make this one just a tiny bit bigger so we get a good slice here. Just grab this all together here. Over top. I'm going to drag it about here. Just want to make sure there's nothing hanging on the other side. So I'm going to grab the 2 of them. Now what I'm going to do is slice. Now what happens with the slice, I get this blue piece, I get this blue piece, and I don't want either of those. I'm simply going to delete them. But what I do get is this piece that I want, and this one I don't. Now I have my own shape that I can use to create those either's. So I'm just going to hold down the Alt key because I don't like to use originals. Now what we're going to do is just place these as needed. Now what I would suggest you do is simply, I'm going to unlock it. The reason I'm going to unlock it, that way I can size it the way I want my flap. It's a bit tall, so I can bring it down. Great. Now I'm going to lock that back into place. Now I have a little flap that I can join with this. Now I want to take a duplicate of this. I'm going to hold down my Alt key. I need one for down here. I have to absolutely rotate that 180 degrees. Now I have one that's going to fit in here. I'm going to take both of those, click and shift click. It's just those that I've picked. You can see it here in the layers panel. And I'm going to hold down my Alt key. And that didn't work. My Alt key, it didn't copy. So let me hold down Alt again. There it goes. And bring this one back here. We'll align those in a second. All right, one last one to make now is I need one for the edge here. So I'm going to hold down my Alt key, bring this down. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. And I am going to unlock this guy. And then I'm just going to bring him so he overlaps here. And I'll just bring this one down. It doesn't matter the curve that you have. I'm just going to lock that into place. I'm going to click on it, hold down the Alt key, bring this one over. I am going to rotate that one to 270. There we go. And now I can fit this into place. Now if this was one large piece, what I could do is just line them up. Just make sure you've got them lined up the way you want. You don't want any little extra things, but you don't mind the overlap on one side or the other. Just as long as it's close. Bring that one down a bit. I want them on the inside edge and maybe over a little bit, and I'm just lining them up, and I can see, just going to zoom in here a bit. You can see there's some edges sticking out here. I pull this one out a bit. Just want to click away. Still have a little corner coming out, so I might just decrease the size of this so it hits the edge here, and this one down a bit. And I'm just trying to line them up so that when I weld them together it sort of becomes one piece. Now that looks a lot better. This one still can come down a bit. I have a bit of a corner, but that's okay. And then same with this one. I just want to line it up as close as possible. This one's pretty up. And this one I could probably move down just a hair or two. And I think that looks pretty good. So this is going to be one unit. So I'm just going to highlight the whole thing. I'm going to combine and I'm going to weld it together. And now I have my little flaps and everything all ready to go. So that is a simple way for making the flaps for when you're doing any particular thing. So this is what we did. We created the little flaps on the outside edge. So I hope you enjoyed this short video, and we'll spend some time making your own flaps.